Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. There's another paid request, this time from Jason. Thank you so much for that. And for those who want to request pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links down below in the info box. Pretty much any video or any topic or reaction, comment, or whatever. Now, as you tell from the title, this is for Brokeback Mountain. Now, there's a lot of jokes you could say. I remember when there were a ton of parodies of this film when it came out. There was even a Ninja Turtle one called Shellback Mountain. It's on YouTube, like 2006. It was all the talk because, oh, it's the gay cowboy movie. It stars Heath Ledger, Jake Gyllenhaal, Randy Quaid is in the film. David Harbour, who's in Stranger Things, he's even in it for a small bit. And it's directed by Ang Lee. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a big Ang Lee fan. I mean, it's ironic that the film of his I like the most is the film that people say is his worst. It's the 2003 Hulk movie. I enjoyed that movie. I like what it was trying to do. I appreciate what Ang Lee was trying to garner with that story, with the style. I really like the style. But I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. But I'm not a fan of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I was heavily disappointed in Gemini Man. The one, oh my god, the one on the ocean with the tiger, Life of Pi. That was okay. That was alright. I didn't hate the film. Now this film, I wouldn't say I hated, it's just, it did nothing for me. It was a romantic story where two people in the 1960s in Wyoming, they get together, they slowly fall in love, but then this constant struggle where they can't be together because of them being gay. And whether fighting their masculinity or afraid of what other people will say, will think, especially in more violent status. Because at one time Heath Ledger's character talks about how when he was a kid, his dad had shown him and others this dead body of him and this other person were, I guess, apparently gay, and the guy was dragged around and killed with a tire iron and left in a ditch. And this movie is just, has good cinematography. Jake Gyllenhaal, Heath Ledger, I think are both two solid actors. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger, again, I liked as an actor. I didn't really care for his performance, I'm sorry, because it seemed like more of a mumbling, softer version of Sling Blade. Like if Sling Blade was a cowboy, but he was like softer, and hey, I was going there. Yeah, I don't know, went out here down to the thing there and going to take care of some herd of sheep through the summer. Grazed through the patches of Brokeback Mountain. And every time he talks, he sounded like he had something in his mouth. And I don't know, messing with those rodeo ropes. It was distracting to me. It was distracting. And I'm like, you didn't need that accent at all, in my opinion. I know people disagree, but to me it was a distracting accent. Sling Blade, like Billy Bob Thornton made that work. Here, because Billy Bob Thornton's character, his history, what went on with that character. Here, it just was hard to listen to after a while. I do think Jake Gyllenhaal, the way he approached the role, just more natural, was the better fit. Again, the cinematography, the landscape of Brokeback Mountain, and all this other stuff. And yeah, this is a time when there's a lot of jokes like, oh, did you see Brokeback Fountain? Bareback Mountain, all the jokes aside. It's just one of those love story movies that, hey, the characters are gay. Do you want a medal? I don't care. The movie, there's plenty of other love stories films. Starman. That's a sci-fi love story movie, and I like that more than Brokeback Mountain and Starman. Jeff Bridges was nominated for an Oscar, but the movie wasn't. I just there's a lot of love story movies out there that I think are better pace. This one, to me, one of his worst flaws, it's a drawn out pace. Things go so slowly, and Ang Lee has a tendency to do that. Like he took a Will Smith film sci-fi action movie where he's facing his younger self and made it boring. And that's another movie that felt drawn out. Not as much as this, but the two get the job. They're going to help herd this sheep in the summer in this mountain area. They don't work for Randy Quaid's character. And yes, I get it. It's a build-up. You can't do it 5 minutes in. I understand that. They talk with each other more and more. At one point, there's a bear that scares off some animals. They lose some food. They gotta hunt to eat. More bonding. Man, that's the most he spoke today compared to the last 2 weeks. Ultimately, one thing leads to another. They say this is a one-shot thing. Nobody's business but ours. I'm not gay. Well, I'm not gay either. But then there's another night, kissing, going through a bad storm, messing with rodeo rope. They're fighting, and then there's really fighting, punching each other. But then, they let that go. They go their ways, and they both try to lead, quote, normal, whatever normal is, non-existent thing, normal lives. Heath Ledger gets married. He has kids. When people kind of affect his masculinity, he stands up, like he fights some bikers. And Ang Lee can have a decent shot. Heath Ledger's walking up to the bikers as during a celebration, so you see these fireworks going up into the sky in the background of Heath Ledger going up and punching these bikers. Okay, I'll give you credit for cinematographer. I don't know the person's name. And throughout the years, they find each other. Jake Gyllenhaal wants them to live together. And that's when Heath Ledger, says that history of him when he was a kid. And pretty much that causes frustration in the marriage that Heath Ledger has, because Heath Ledger, the wife knows he's keeping secrets, and he goes out into these periods of time to go fishing, but his fishing pole was never touched. There was even a note she put on it, but the note was never touched. And, they could have a good life together, a place of our own, but you didn't want it. And Heath Ledger's like, well, I got child support, I don't want to be away from my kids, and this and that. And Heath Ledger was always fighting it. Like, Jake Gyllenhaal wanted to do it, was gung-ho about it. Heath Ledger was always fighting it. And there could be decent moments of acting with Heath. Like, Heath Ledger's a good actor. There's decent moments. Like one of the last meetings, and Heath Ledger breaks down crying, and Jake Gyllenhaal kind of hugs him. Spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Heath Ledger gets a phone call. Jake Gyllenhaal has died of a car accident, and this was an interesting way of filming the scene. Because Heath Ledger calls, and he's being told one story from Jake Gyllenhaal's wife. So he's being told one story, but in his mind he's seeing a different story. Like he's being told there's a car accident, but in his head he visualizes that Jake Gyllenhaal was dragged out, beaten up, killed, murdered. I don't know if that's supposed to be Heath Ledger thinking that, visualizing it, his imagination running wild, or it's him listening to it and we, the audience, are seeing the truth. Or Heath Ledger is psychic and he's got the dead zone. I guess that's meant, not the dead zone part, but I guess that's meant for the audience to decide on, you know, to give you a question on, is that how Jay Gyllenhaal's character died? But then nothing's really followed up on it. It's not like it becomes this mystery where he wants to find out the truth of what happened and the death of his friend. Which you would think for a masculine cowboy, that's what should happen. Yeah, is this really what happened? I want to find out the truth. And then that would actually be more interesting of a story, but then that becomes a different type of movie. That's not the movie that was being made, and it's just different preferences. Like, that's the preference I would have. Like, okay, if you want to have this love story thing, I don't give a shit if it's two guys, two girls, well, if it's two cups, it's a different matter. Two guys, two girls. Just the story itself, it is so drawn out. It's over 2 hours long. The music, it's not the composer's fault, but it just reminds me of all the consistent parodies that came out of it when this film came out. Like, people would do YouTube videos back in the day, in the early days of the internet of 2006, well, the early days of YouTube, I should say, of 2006, and YouTube came upon, like, what, 2005? 4? Maybe 2006? And I first got on YouTube in 2006. I was looking up, like, Ninja Turtle stuff, and I'm like, what the hell is Brokeback Mountain? I mean, oh, okay, they edited where Raph and Leo, or the Heath Ledger, okay. That's a different kind of, incest. It's YouTube. YouTube, people do weird stuff. But yeah, you would just see pairs like Spock and Kirk and like all this stuff, and they would use that Brokeback Mountain music that was in the trailer, but it's also in the movie. And I'm going to sit here and say it's a badly directed and terribly done movie. It's just not my cup of tea. And people chalk her up to ignorancy of, oh, it's just J. No, I just think it's a love story that goes on too long. It's overdrawn. And it's a problem I have with a lot of Ang Lee movies, where they become rather unexciting. They become rather boring. And I like Hulk 2003, and even I just say that's drawn out a bit too long. Doesn't need to be that length of the movie. But Ang Lee has a tendency for that. And with the Oscars, I know that's another big controversy because it was nominated and this other movie called Crash won. I'm sorry, I thought Crash was a better movie. I saw that film. I liked it. I would rather watch Crash more than this. I think Crash went at a better pace. I got more invested into the story. Granted, the story was blunt and not subtle in the slightest. But I was still more interested in that story compared to this. I'm not even much into just I appreciate a love story when it's part of a sci-fi, action, like, other types of genre. But I'm not really a person that just goes and sees love stories. This is kind of chick flicks is what we would call it back in the day. Now you can't say that's on PC. But no, back in the day, you would call them chick flicks. And some of them, like if it was like comedy, like Notting Hill, Hugh Grant, Julia Roberts, I'll watch that movie and be okay. Because at least with comedy, maybe I get some chuckles and laughs and get a bit out of it. Love stories, if it's interjected like X-Files, Mulder and Scully, nice love story. Before they kissed. After it, they ruined it. But will they, won't they? Yeah, it could go on with tons of other movies that also interject with, again, either part of an action film, part of a horror film, science fiction, like genres that are much more intriguing to me. Starman, I mentioned. It's a good movie. Love stories in general as part of a plot that intrigues me, okay. or like comedy that hopefully makes me laugh. Like I said, this, I'm sitting there going, kind of waiting for this movie to get going, and it kind of just repeats itself. They can't be together. They want to be together. They can't be together. They want to be together. They can't be together. And ultimately, they can't be together. And it ends with he's going to go see his daughter, get married. Maybe there's a fruition into his mind of stop worrying about my work or whatever. I want to do what makes someone I care about happy. Because he has the opportunity to go do this job and miss his daughter's marriage. But he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then he opens up his closet. It has Jake Gyllenhaal's shirt and picture of the mountain, their moments. So maybe, regret. Part of him wishes he would have done things differently. C'est la vie. So yeah, if you're into the film, that's cool. If you like the film, that's cool. Like I said, it's just one of those stories and didn't draw me in. And like I said, as I'm watching the film, I'm just thinking of all the parodies back in the day. And you just say that's not the movie's fault, but it is fairly over dramatic at times. And this is one of those films that I really don't know what else to say. I guess if you love well, can't say straightforward. If you love just a love story, maybe this would be more your cup of tea. But yeah, I'm sitting there going, okay, you guys are gay. I don't care. What's the story? What's the intrigue? Again, if you want to set that up and then Jake Gyllenhaal gets murdered and Heath Ledger wants to find out who did it. It doesn't have to be that of but like a crime, like mystery. Okay. Now I'm interested. Now I'm intrigued. But again, that's different preference. That's just me. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.